You are being controlled by your impulses, not because you are weak but because your brain has been hijacked. Every notification, every image, every cheap thrill you consume is teaching your mind to crave pleasure instead of purpose. This audiobook is not about repression. It's about reprogramming. You will learn how to desexualize your brain, not by running from desire but by mastering it. Because when you can control your biology, you can control your destiny. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Admit your brain is addicted. You can't fix what you refuse to face. You can't change what you won't name. And the truth is simple. Your brain is addicted to stimulation, to comfort, to the next small hit of dopamine that makes you feel alive for 5 seconds and empty for the next hour. You've been trained for it, conditioned for it. Modern life is a machine, and that machine runs on your attention. Every app, every feed, every ad is designed to pull you away from depth and into distraction. And it works. You don't have to touch anything extreme to see it. Just look at your habits. How often do you check your phone? How often do you scroll when you're bored? How often do you look for something, anything, to escape that 1 second of silence, that tiny flicker of discomfort? That's the addiction. It's not just chemicals. It's behavior. It's not just desire. It's training. You've taught your brain to chase reward without effort, to expect satisfaction without struggle, to crave instant payoff instead of long-term progress. That's the enemy. And the first step to freedom is admitting it. If you don't admit it, you can't fix it. Say it out loud. My brain is addicted to easy pleasure. Not to shame yourself, not to judge yourself, but to wake up. You have a choice. You can keep feeding the machine that keeps you weak, or you can start starving it. That's the key. Every time you pick up your phone for no reason, you strengthen the addiction. Every time you chase novelty, you weaken focus. Every time you reach for the shortcut, you lose the ability to do the hard thing, the thing that builds real confidence. It's not about guilt. It's about awareness. Awareness is control. Awareness is step 1 in rebuilding your mind. Most people will never reach this point. They'll keep scrolling, keep chasing, keep numbing themselves with 1,000 tiny hits of nothing. Because it's easier to stay addicted than to change. But not you. You're here because you're done letting your impulses run the show. You're here because you want your mind back. And that starts with honesty. Brutal honesty. You have to look at yourself like an engineer looks at a system. No emotion. No denial. Just observation. Ask yourself, what am I feeding my brain? What patterns am I reinforcing? Where am I leaking focus? Every habit is programming. Every click, every scroll, every shortcut tells your brain, this is what matters. So when you constantly reward distraction, your brain stops craving purpose. That's why focus feels hard, because it's no longer rewarded. But you can retrain it. You can rewire your reward system by replacing empty stimulation with meaningful effort. That's the path back to clarity. You don't need anyone's permission to start. You just need to stop lying to yourself. Say it again. If you don't admit it, you can't fix it. Let's break down how this addiction works. First, there's the trigger, boredom, anxiety, restlessness. Then comes the behavior, you reach for stimulation. Finally, the reward, a small spike of pleasure. Your brain learns, this works. And it repeats. That's the loop. And the loop becomes your life. You don't have to be a scientist to break it, you just have to interrupt it. Catch the trigger. Pause before the behavior. Redirect the energy. It sounds simple, but that moment, the pause, is where you rebuild your power. Because every time you pause, you reclaim control. Every time you resist, you teach your brain discipline. That's the real addiction cure. Awareness and redirection. Not punishment. Not guilt. Just discipline, repetition, and consistency. Your brain adapts to what you feed it. If you feed it chaos, it will crave chaos. If you feed it focus, it will crave focus. That's the rule. That's the key. So your mission is clear. Cut down stimulation. Increase intention. Replace reaction with response. When you feel that pull, that urge to check, to scroll, to escape, don't fight it, observe it. Notice the feeling, then let it pass. That's how you weaken the loop. That's how you begin to desexualize, detox, and declutter your mind. Remember this phrase, What I feed grows. Feed focus and focus grows. Feed distraction and distraction takes over. You have a choice every single time. This chapter is not about blaming technology or desire. It's about responsibility. Because nothing changes until you accept that you built this pattern and that you can unbuild it. That's how every transformation starts, with ownership. Own the addiction. Own the pattern. Then take control of the system. That's the moment your brain starts to work for you, not against you. That's when you shift from being a product of your impulses to being a producer of your purpose. Repeat this truth until it burns into your memory. If you don't admit it, you can't fix it. This is your reset button. Not a punishment, but a wake-up call. From this point forward, every distraction you resist is a vote for your focus. Every temptation you pause on is a step toward mastery. Every moment you choose awareness over impulse, you rewire your mind. You've admitted the truth. You've taken the first step. Now you can start rebuilding your focus and reclaiming your mental energy. You have a choice. Stay numb or wake up. Keep feeding the machine or build your own mind. This is where your real progress begins. You've seen the addiction. Now it's time to starve it. Because awareness without action is just another distraction. And you didn't come here to understand the problem. You came to overcome it. You faced the truth. Now let's move forward. You've admitted your brain is addicted. Now let's talk about how to stop feeding the addiction. Chapter 2. Stop feeding the machine. You can't heal in the same environment that made you sick. You can't rebuild focus while living inside the machine that profits from your distraction. Your environment is not neutral, it's engineered. Engineered to keep you scrolling, consuming, reacting. Every sound, every image, every notification is a hook. And the more you bite, the weaker you get. The machine knows you. It knows your patterns, your triggers, your weak spots. It knows exactly what to show you to pull you away from your purpose. That's not an accident. That's the system. And here's the truth. You can't win by fighting every impulse individually. You win by cutting the connection. You win by starving the habit until it dies. Say it again, starve the habit and the habit dies. You think you need more willpower, but you don't. You need fewer temptations. Willpower is a finite resource. Environment is a permanent one. When your phone is in your hand all day, you've already lost the battle. When you sleep next to your screen, you're feeding the machine even in your rest. When every spare moment becomes a chance to scroll, you've handed your attention away for free. It's not about deleting every app. It's about designing your space to protect your focus. That's the key. Move the phone out of reach when you work. Turn off notifications you don't need. Replace the endless feed with something that feeds you. Books, podcasts, stillness. Because what you feed your mind becomes what you crave. And remember this, if you don't control what you consume, something else will. The machine feeds on reaction. It feeds on your outrage, your boredom, your curiosity. Every click trains it. Every second you linger teaches it what to sell you next. You think you're exploring, you're being mapped. The antidote is attention fasting. Every day, carve out hours with zero external input. No social media. No random videos. No constant music. Just silence, movement, thought. At first, it feels empty. Because your brain has forgotten how to be still. That discomfort? That's detox. Stay with it. Because silence is not emptiness. It's recalibration. You have a choice. Feed the machine or feed your mind. You can't do both. When you stop feeding the machine, you start starving distraction. And when distraction dies, clarity returns. That's the sequence. Think of your attention like water. Wherever you pour it, something grows. For most people, that water goes to the weeds, the meaningless, the shallow, the easy. But when you start directing it towards something real, your craft, your health, your mission, you feel power return. That's not motivation. That's energy reclaimed. You don't need their permission to unplug. You don't need to announce it, post it, or prove it. Just quietly withdraw your energy from everything that doesn't serve you. That's the rebellion the machine can't predict. Let's be practical. Here's how to start cutting the supply lines that feed the loop. Step 1. Audit your inputs. Write down everything you consume in a day, videos, messages, shows, articles. Be brutally honest. Ask, Does this feed my purpose or my pleasure? If it doesn't feed purpose, it's feeding addiction. Step 2. Redesign your environment. Out of sight means out of mind. Move your devices out of reach during deep work. Replace triggers with tools, a notebook instead of an app, a walk instead of a scroll. Step 3. Replace consumption with creation. Every minute you spend creating, writing, building, learning, breaks the loop. The brain can't crave instant reward while it's busy producing something real. That's the secret. That's the cure. Starve the habit and the habit dies. When you stop feeding the machine, you'll feel withdrawal, restlessness, fidgeting, a constant urge to reach for the old comfort. That's normal. It's your brain recalibrating its reward system. You've been bathing in dopamine for years, quick, shallow, endless. Now you're learning to earn it again through effort. That's the work. That's the process. And yes, it's uncomfortable. Growth always is. But that discomfort is proof of healing. Every minute you endure it, you're taking back control from the algorithms that once controlled you. This is not about quitting technology. It's about mastering it. Use it, don't serve it. Direct it toward your mission, not your escape. Remember this mantra: attention is currency. Spend it wisely. Every time you give your attention away, you give your power away. And power, once wasted, doesn't come back easily. So protect it. Guard it like your most valuable asset, because it is. The world will tempt you with infinite noise. But purpose thrives in silence. Every focused hour compounds. Every distraction resisted builds mental muscle. Starve the habit and the habit dies. Feed discipline and discipline grows. You always have that choice. If you want to change your mind, change your inputs. If you want peace, control your environment. If you want power, direct your attention. That's the formula. No magic, no hacks, no shortcuts. Just awareness and repetition. People look for new information when what they need is new application. You already know what's stealing your focus. You just keep feeding it. So stop. Right now. Today. Turn off one source of noise. Delete one app. Reclaim 1 hour of silence. Start small, but start. Because the machine only survives when you feed it. And the moment you stop, it starves. That's when you feel clarity again. That's when purpose becomes louder than pleasure. That's when focus becomes your new default. This is how mastery begins, not by fighting every urge, but by removing the environment that creates the urge. Starve the habit and the habit dies. That's your rule from now on. You don't need motivation. You need boundaries. You don't need more control. You need fewer triggers. You don't need to be stronger. You need to be smarter. And when you start protecting your attention, your entire identity shifts. Because the man who controls his focus controls his life. You've learned how to stop feeding the machine. You've learned that discipline isn't built through willpower, it's built through environment. Now that you've cut off the noise, it's time to rebuild your reward system. To teach your mind to find satisfaction not in consumption, but in progress. You've starved the habit. Now let's teach your brain to crave growth. Chapter 3. Rewire the reward system. Your brain is a reward-seeking machine. Every decision you make, every habit you repeat, is driven by one question. Where's the reward? For years, you've been teaching it that the reward comes from escape, from comfort, from distraction. But the truth is this: comfort is not reward. Growth is. Pleasure is the reward for growth, not escape. Say it again. Let it burn into your mind. Pleasure is the reward for growth, not escape. Your brain learned to chase quick hits of satisfaction. Small bursts of dopamine that feel good now but steal your energy later. Every scroll, every click, every just one more moment reinforced that pattern. It's not moral failure. It's conditioning. If you can learn it, you can unlearn it. If you can train your brain to crave ease, you can train it to crave effort. That's the power you've forgotten. The power to teach your brain what to love. Your goal now is simple. Break the association between pleasure and escape. Build the association between pleasure and progress. That's the rewiring. Think of your brain as a feedback loop. Action, reward, memory. Whatever you reward, you repeat. That's how habits are built and how they're broken. When you reward mindless scrolling with attention, it grows stronger. When you reward hard work with pride and gratitude, that grows stronger. Your brain doesn't care what you feed it, it just learns what gets repeated. So start repeating growth. Start rewarding effort. Start linking pleasure to progress. You have a choice every day. You can feel good for seconds or fulfilled for hours. You can escape the moment or expand from it. That's the key. Let's talk about how to recondition your reward system. Step 1. Redefine success in micro moments. Most people chase huge results. Promotions, money, recognition. That's too far away to create consistent reward. Instead, reward small wins. Finishing a workout. Reading 5 pages. Completing a task with focus. Pause. Breathe. Say to yourself, that's growth. When you consciously recognize progress, your brain releases dopamine naturally, the earned kind. Step 2. Use deliberate discomfort. Growth hides behind resistance. The task you avoid is the exact one that rewires your mind. Run when you want to rest. Read when you want to scroll. Finish what you start. Every time you push through discomfort, you tell your brain this is where the real reward lives. Step 3. Shift from consumption to creation. When you create, you engage your higher circuits. Focus, planning, patience. When you consume mindlessly, you engage only impulse. The more you create, the more alive you feel. Because creativity is progress made visible. Remember, pleasure is the reward for growth, not escape. At first, your brain will resist. It will whisper, just one break. It will beg for the easy reward. That's withdrawal. That's rewiring in progress. You are breaking a chemical cycle that's been reinforced for years. And yes, it feels uncomfortable because you're starving old pathways while building new ones. But that discomfort is not failure, it's feedback. It's proof that your brain is changing. You don't need their permission. You don't need motivation. You need repetition. Do the work. Reward the work. Repeat. Every rep you complete, every distraction you resist, releases a cleaner, stronger hit of satisfaction. Not the cheap kind that fades, the earned kind that compounds. Let's take an example. You wake up tired. You reach for your phone. That's the old loop. Triggered distraction, pleasure, guilt. Now interrupt it. You wake up. You stretch. You drink water. You make your bed. That's a new loop. Trigger, action, effort, reward. You feel pride, clarity, momentum. That's dopamine serving you instead of enslaving you. You can rebuild that loop in every area of life. Work, health, focus, relationships. Replace reaction with response. Replace fantasy with effort. Replace escape with engagement. Each time you do, you reinforce new wiring. Your mind is plastic. It bends to what you practice. Feed it growth, and growth becomes pleasure. There's a moment in every transformation where the old habits fight back. You'll feel boredom like never before. Because you're no longer numbing it, you're facing it. Sit in it. Breathe through it. That boredom is the void where new focus will form. Don't rush to fill it. Let your brain relearn what quiet feels like. In that space, ideas appear. Vision returns. You remember what real satisfaction feels like. Calm, earned, meaningful. Pleasure is the reward for growth, not escape. Repeat it until your brain believes it. There's neuroscience behind this. When you attach dopamine release to productive actions, focus, training, completion, you strengthen the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that plans, decides, and leads. When you attach dopamine to constant novelty, you weaken it. You train your mind to follow impulses instead of direction. So each time you complete a meaningful task, celebrate it. Not by running to a screen, but by pausing, breathing, acknowledging. That pause is your new reward. That's how you lock in the pattern. This isn't about becoming emotionless. It's about emotional discipline, teaching your feelings to follow your values. You don't remove pleasure. You reclaim it. You decide what deserves it. The difference between chaos and control is this. Chaos chases pleasure. Control earns it. You have the power to rewrite the story. Every action, every repetition, every choice tells your brain what matters. Make progress matter. Make effort matter. Make meaning the new high. That's how you turn the same chemical that once trapped you into the fuel that frees you. From now on, every time you feel temptation, repeat this. This isn't a signal to escape. It's a signal to grow. Then do something constructive. Move. Write. Learn. Build. Each time you respond this way, your neural wiring strengthens. Each time you reward growth, you weaken the grip of impulse. This is the quiet work most people never do. But you're not most people. You're building a brain that works for your mission, not against it. Pleasure is the reward for growth, not escape. That's your compass now. You've started rewiring your reward system. You've taken back control of what your brain celebrates. Now you'll learn how to channel that newly recovered energy, how to convert desire into drive, and drive into creative power. You've learned to reward effort. Next, you'll learn to redirect energy itself. Chapter 4. Convert desire into drive. You can't eliminate desire. You were never meant to. Desire is energy. It's motion. It's life itself. Without it, there is no creation, no ambition, no progress. The problem is not desire, it's direction. Most people aim their energy at pleasure. You're going to aim yours at purpose. That's the difference between addiction and ambition. Addiction seeks release. Ambition seeks creation. So this chapter is simple. Stop trying to kill your impulses. Start training them. Stop suppressing energy. Start redirecting it. Don't suppress energy. Redirect it. When you feel desire rise inside you, that spark, that rush, that hunger, that's not weakness. That's power in raw form. You can waste it on temporary comfort, or you can channel it into long-term impact. That's your choice every single time. You have to stop thinking of desire as something to run from. It's not the enemy. It's a signal. A reminder that you're alive, that you care, that something inside you wants more. But here's the key. You must decide what that more means. For most, more means more comfort, more ease, more instant satisfaction. For you, it will mean more focus, more growth, more mastery. Desire itself isn't dangerous. Undirected desire is. Every great builder, every creator, every leader understood this. They didn't waste energy fighting their emotions. They transformed them. Leonardo da Vinci, Nikola Tesla, Muhammad Ali. They all spoke about channeling energy, physical, emotional, creative, into their craft. They didn't chase distraction. They used the same inner force that tempts others to waste time. Think about that. The same energy that can destroy focus can also build an empire. The same restlessness that leads most people to escapism can push you into discipline, training, or art. That's transmutation, the process of turning lower impulses into higher output. And it's available to you right now. Don't suppress energy. Redirect it. Here's the science. When your body feels a surge of energy, excitement, attraction, adrenaline, your brain releases dopamine and testosterone together. Those chemicals are not inherently about pleasure. They're about motivation. They push you toward action. But if your environment rewards instant escape, that energy drains into distraction. If your environment rewards purpose, that same energy fuels achievement. So you're not fighting biology, you're retraining it. You're teaching your nervous system that energy equals effort, not indulgence. That's how you turn your drives into discipline. Let's make it practical. When you feel the urge, any strong impulse, do 3 things. Step 1, pause. Don't act. Don't react. Just breathe. Recognize the energy for what it is, power in motion. You're not rejecting it. You're reclaiming it. Step 2, redirect. Move it into something physical or creative. Work out. Write. Build. Claim. Move. Action transforms energy into focus. Step 3, reinforce. After channeling it, acknowledge what you did. Say it clearly, I redirected my energy. That phrase reinforces the new pattern. Your brain learns, energy doesn't equal escape, it equals purpose. That's how you rewire desire. Not by denial, but by redirection. You've probably noticed something. The more you resist energy, the stronger it becomes. That's because suppression adds tension. Energy wants motion, not resistance. So don't fight it. Use it. When you fight your own biology, you create inner conflict. When you guide it, you create flow. And flow is where mastery lives. Every time you take the energy that once pulled you backward and aim it forward, you evolve. You grow. You move from chaos to clarity. You stop being reactive and start being deliberate. That's what discipline really is, direction of energy. You have to train this like a muscle. The first few times you'll stumble. The old pattern will call you back. But repetition builds control. Each time you redirect, your neural circuits strengthen. Your brain starts to prefer creation over distraction. It becomes natural, automatic. That's when you know you've transmuted energy into drive. And that's the goal, not to suppress what makes you human, but to master it. Not to silence the inner fire, but to give it purpose. Don't suppress energy. Redirect it. When you feel restless, move. When you feel lonely, create. When you feel unfulfilled, build. Those are your outlets. Not reaction, but redirection. You don't need to escape your emotions. You need to elevate them. Use their force to push you toward what matters most. The most focused people aren't emotionless. They're emotionally intelligent. They understand how to ride the wave instead of drowning in it. They use energy intentionally, every day. And when you master that skill, you become unstoppable. Let's talk about what happens when you do this consistently. Your creativity explodes. Because your brain is finally free from loops of guilt and reaction. You gain energy that others waste. You think clearer, act faster, recover stronger. That's the power of conversion, turning raw desire into productive energy. And it compounds. Because every time you choose creation over indulgence, your self-respect grows. Confidence is not built from success. It's built from self-control. This is how leaders are made. They don't destroy their impulses. They harness them. They let energy flow upward, into art, training, invention, leadership. That's the same energy that can power your goals. You just have to give it a destination. So the next time that wave of restlessness hits, don't waste it. Breathe. Focus. Move. Take that energy and put it somewhere it counts. Write the page. Finish the set. Build the project. Call the client. Do something real with the power you've been giving away for free. You'll notice something amazing. Once energy is expressed through purpose, it stops controlling you. You control it. And that control brings peace. Not emptiness, but calm, confident presence. Don't suppress energy. Redirect it. You've learned how to convert desire into drive. You've learned that energy itself isn't the problem. Direction is. You've learned that what once distracted you can now define you. Now it's time to take that directed energy and aim it at reality. To detach from fantasy and focus on truth, because every illusion you chase steals power from your purpose. You've learned to channel energy. Next, you'll learn how to protect it. Chapter 5. Detach from fantasy. You can't build a real life while living in an illusion. Fantasy feels safe, feels perfect. It asks for nothing and gives you everything, except growth. Reality, on the other hand, demands effort. It demands presence. That's why fantasy is seductive. It promises the reward without the work. But every time you choose illusion over action, you weaken your relationship with the real world. Every fantasy you chase makes reality harder to face. Say it again. Let it echo. Every fantasy you chase makes reality harder to face. Fantasy isn't just about what you watch or imagine. It's any mental escape that keeps you from what's in front of you. It's daydreaming about success instead of building it. It's visualizing achievement but never taking the first step. It's choosing comfort in imagination over courage in reality. Your brain doesn't know the difference between vivid fantasy and lived experience. When you indulge in endless imagination, you give your brain a false sense of accomplishment. It gets the feeling of winning without any real progress. And slowly, the hunger for genuine effort fades away. That's the trap. That's why discipline begins with clarity, seeing the world as it actually is, not as you wish it to be. Fantasy drains energy because it splits you in two. Part of you lives in the real world. The other part lives in a simulation built out of craving and avoidance. The longer you live there, the harder it becomes to focus, to connect, to create. Because your brain keeps expecting reality to match your illusion, and it never will. The result? Frustration, discontent, restlessness. You start chasing stronger illusions, hoping one will finally feel real enough. It never does. The solution isn't repression, it's refocusing. See the illusion for what it is, unpaid rent in your mind. Then take that mental space back. Every fantasy you chase makes reality harder to face. Here's how you start detaching from fantasy and reclaiming your attention. Step 1. Identify your escapes. When do you disappear into imagination instead of acting? When you feel anxious, lonely, bored? Write it down. Awareness breaks invisibility. Step 2. Replace illusion with intention. When you catch yourself drifting, ground yourself in something physical. Your breath, your surroundings, your next task. Bring the energy back to the present moment. Tell yourself, right here is where progress happens. Step 3. Rebuild through vision, not fantasy. Vision is different. Fantasy avoids work. Vision assigns it. Fantasy says, someday. Vision says, today. Use your imagination to plan, not to hide. You'll notice withdrawal. Because fantasy gave you constant comfort. Reality gives you challenge. Your brain will protest, go back to the easy version. Don't. Sit in the friction. That's the heat where real confidence forms. When you face life directly, you'll feel resistance, boredom, even fear. Those are signs of truth. Stay there. That's reality testing your strength, and every time you stay present, you grow stronger. Here's a truth few accept. The mind that lives in illusion loses trust in itself. Because deep down, you know when you're pretending. You know when you're performing a life instead of living one. That gap between who you are and who you imagine yourself to be, that's where shame grows. You don't fix that by fantasizing harder. You fix it by acting honestly. By doing the small, unglamorous work that fantasy avoids. By proving to yourself that you can face the real world and still stand tall. Each time you act instead of imagine, you earn self-respect. Each time you choose clarity over comfort, you reclaim power. Every fantasy you chase makes reality harder to face. Think about the creators, thinkers, and leaders who changed history. They used imagination as a tool, not a hiding place. They visualized results, then turned that vision into motion. They didn't escape into dreams, they brought their dreams into the world. That's the difference between illusion and vision. One consumes energy, the other channels it. You can do the same. Use your imagination to fuel your next move, not replace it. Imagine vividly, then act immediately. Don't give your brain time to drift back into the comfort of unreality. Because the more time you spend in fantasy, the heavier reality feels. And the heavier it feels, the more tempting fantasy becomes. That's the loop you're breaking right now. Here's a daily practice to anchor yourself in truth. Morning grounding. Before you look at any screen, stand still for 1 minute. Breathe deeply. Remind yourself, I am in the real world. Today I build something real. Midday reset. When distraction pulls you into imagination, pause and name 5 things you can physically see or touch. That brings your mind back to presence. Evening reflection. Ask, what did I do today that exists outside my head? If the answer is action, you're winning. If the answer is nothing, tomorrow you correct it. This isn't punishment, it's precision. The more time you spend in reality, the more fulfilling it becomes. Detach from fantasy, not because fantasy is evil, but because reality is sacred. Reality is where your work lives, your relationships live, your legacy lives. It's the only place you can actually grow. Every time you turn away from illusion, you strengthen focus. Every time you face life directly, you rebuild integrity. And integrity creates peace, the peace that comes from knowing you're not running anymore. So repeat the mantra until it becomes instinct. Every fantasy you chase makes reality harder to face. And every reality you face makes fantasy unnecessary. You've learned to step out of illusion and back into truth. You've learned that energy once wasted on fantasy can now power your real life. Now that you're standing in reality, it's time to protect the mental space you've earned. To build calm, unshakable focus no matter what chaos surrounds you. You've detached from illusion. Next, you'll build the discipline that keeps you grounded and unbreakable. Chapter 6. Build the monk mind. The world wants your attention. Every sound, every notification, every headline, each one pulls at you, demanding a reaction. And the more you react, the weaker you become. Because every reaction costs you focus. Every distraction drains power. And every loss of focus steals the life you could have built. The antidote is stillness. Not escape. Not silence born of weakness. Stillness born of control. Because stillness is not weakness. Stillness is control. The greatest minds in history shared one hidden trait. They could sit in silence and stay unshaken. They could think, observe, and act only when necessary. That's not passivity, that's power. You can feel it when you meet someone who has that calm presence. They speak slowly. They move deliberately. They don't chase noise, they create it when they choose. They've built what I call the monk mind, a state of disciplined calm that no external chaos can break. And that's what this chapter will teach you. How to build inner stillness in a world designed to destroy it. How to live in motion but move from peace. Because once you master stillness, you stop being reactive. You become deliberate. Stillness is not weakness. Stillness is control. Let's start with a truth. Most people don't think, they react. They scroll. They refresh. They respond. Their entire identity is built on noise. Their self-worth depends on validation, not discipline. Their attention is traded away for entertainment. You're not going to live like that. You're going to build a foundation so stable that nothing outside of you can shake it. This is the first principle of the monk mind. Control your input. What you let in determines what comes out. Your focus is a garden. If you don't protect it, weeds of distraction grow fast. So be ruthless with your environment. Mute notifications. Limit the noise. Create physical and digital spaces that protect your clarity. Something doesn't feed your focus, it feeds your weakness. If it doesn't bring peace, it brings chaos. Cut it out. That's not minimalism, it's mental hygiene. Stillness is not weakness. Stillness is control. The second principle, honor silence. Silence isn't emptiness. Silence is training. Every moment of silence strengthens your mind's ability to stay centered. Monks understood this for centuries. They used silence to listen, to themselves, to reality, to truth. In silence, your mind shows you what you've been avoiding. The fear, the anxiety, the endless craving for stimulation. When you face those things without distraction, they lose power, because you've stopped running. So schedule silence every day. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 if you can. No music, no talking. Just breathe and observe. It will feel uncomfortable at first. That's good. Growth begins where comfort ends. When the world screams for your attention, your calm will be your weapon. Because silence doesn't make you disappear. It makes you dangerous. Stillness is not weakness. Stillness is control. The third principle, structure your day like a monastery. Monks live by rhythm. They wake, work, and rest with intention. They don't guess when to focus, they decide. You can do the same. You don't need robes or rituals. You need structure. Set fixed hours for deep work, reflection, and rest. Remove choice from discipline. When something becomes automatic, it becomes sustainable. Most people waste time negotiating with their impulses. Should I work now? Should I rest? The monk mind removes that question. Discipline replaces decision. Routine replaces resistance. The more structure you build, the freer you feel. Because freedom isn't doing whatever you want, it's not being ruled by what you want. That's the secret. Stillness is not weakness. Stillness is control. You might ask, what happens when chaos hits? When life throws problems at me? That's exactly why you build stillness before the storm. The monk mind doesn't wait for peace to act calm. It trains calm until peace becomes a natural state. Imagine a mountain. Wind hits it, storms crash against it, but it stands unmoved. That's what your mind must become. The world can roar, but you stay grounded. You choose your response. You remain centered. That's strength, not noise, not aggression, not reaction. Control. Calm under pressure is the purest form of power. Here's a simple daily framework to begin your monk mind training. Morning clarity, 10 minutes. No screens. No noise. Just breathe and visualize your priorities. Ask yourself, what truly matters today? Write it down. Focused work blocks, 90 minutes. Remove all distractions. Single task with intensity. This is meditation in motion, your mind fully absorbed in one direction. Evening reflection, 15 minutes. Review your day without judgment. Ask, where did I react? Where did I stay calm? Then commit to improvement. This rhythm isn't just productivity, it's peace. When you live by rhythm, you live in control. Stillness is not weakness. Stillness is control. Let's talk about ego for a moment. The ego hates stillness, because in silence it can't perform. It can't be validated. It can't be admired. That's why most people fill their lives with noise, so they don't have to face themselves. But when you sit in stillness, ego dissolves. You see clearly who you are without filters or performance. That truth is uncomfortable, but it's also freeing. True confidence doesn't come from showing the world how loud you are. It comes from knowing you can be silent and still matter. That's inner strength, the kind no one can take from you. When you live with the monk mind, external chaos becomes background noise. You'll start noticing things others miss. You'll act with precision instead of panic. You'll find that peace isn't something you chase, it's something you protect. The more still you become, the more powerful your actions feel. Because you're no longer reacting, you're responding. You're no longer rushed, you're resolved. And that's the difference between control and chaos. Stillness is not weakness. Stillness is control. The monk mind doesn't seek isolation from the world. It learns how to live in it without losing peace. You can work, build, create, lead, and still move from calm. That's not detachment. That's mastery. So as the world keeps screaming for your attention, keep choosing stillness. As everything speeds up, you slow down and focus. Because peace is not the absence of noise, it's the mastery of it. When others crumble under pressure, you'll remain steady. When others chase stimulation, you'll choose focus. And when others lose themselves, you'll remember who you are. Because stillness is not weakness. Stillness is control. You've built the foundation of inner stillness. You've learned to live deliberately in a world of chaos. Now it's time to take this internal discipline and turn it outward, to master your habits, routines, and time itself. Because stillness is the seed, but structure is how it grows. You've built the monk mind. Now let's talk about mastering momentum. Chapter 7. Discipline is desire in order. Discipline is misunderstood. Most people think it's about denying themselves, about punishing desire, about living small. That's not true. Discipline is not the absence of desire. Discipline is the organization of desire toward a goal. Energy is neutral. Desire is neutral. What matters is direction. Where your energy flows, your life follows. You control what your energy serves. Say it again. You control what your energy serves. Think about your day. Every impulse, every urge, every spark of curiosity, every flicker of motivation is a choice. You can let it scatter into distraction, or you can gather it, focus it, and direct it toward creation. That's discipline, desire in order. Energy doesn't disappear when you channel it. It multiplies. It compounds. And when desire and discipline align, momentum becomes unstoppable. The problem is most people treat energy like chaos. They react instead of acting. They chase novelty instead of creation. They let impulses wander into empty habits, pointless scrolling, and fleeting pleasure. Meanwhile, you're going to do the opposite. You'll take the same energy that drives distraction and invest it into the things that build your life. Work, art, training, learning, purpose. You control what your energy serves. Let's make this practical. The first step, structure your day around high-value energy targets. Every task, every habit, every routine should answer one question. Does this build me? Does this compound my effort? If yes, commit. If no, remove it. This is the principle of focus. Attention is limited, energy is limited, time is limited. Waste none of it on what doesn't matter. The second step, align your impulses with your routines. When you feel energy rising, whether restlessness, drive, or craving, use it immediately in a productive way. Exercise, write, learn, create, lead. Every action you take reinforces the habit of channeling desire. Every inaction reinforces old loops of distraction. The more consistently you redirect energy toward creation, the stronger your discipline grows. Real-world examples prove this. Athletes who perform at peak levels don't fight their impulses, they train them. Artists don't suppress inspiration, they schedule it into creation. Entrepreneurs don't wait for motivation, they structure work around moments of energy. The common denominator: discipline. Not repression, not luck, not magic. Energy organized toward purpose. You control what your energy serves. Here's a simple framework to convert desire into daily discipline. Morning ignition. Start with high-impact action, exercise, planning, or learning. Capture your energy while it's fresh and unspent. Primary focus block. Choose one task that contributes most to your long-term goal. No distractions. Full intensity. This is the leverage point. Secondary action block. Tackle smaller, meaningful tasks that support progress. Use residual energy to compound momentum. Evening reflection. Ask, where did I direct energy today? Did I serve purpose or impulse? Adjust tomorrow accordingly. This structure turns chaos into order. Impulse becomes leverage. Desire becomes discipline. Discipline is not punishment. It is empowerment. It's the bridge between raw energy and accomplishment. It's the reason some people live half alive while others build empires. You will not wake up magically disciplined. You will build it brick by brick, habit by habit. Let's address temptation. You will feel the pull to return to old patterns. You will feel restlessness, distraction, and boredom. That's normal. It's the cost of growth. When you redirect energy instead of indulging, you reinforce a new neural pattern. Every time you act with intention, your brain learns. Effort equals reward. Every time you surrender to impulse, it learns. Instant pleasure equals habit. This is why repetition is essential. Discipline is built by repeatedly choosing purpose over escape. You control what your energy serves. Here's another truth. Freedom and discipline are inseparable. Many think discipline limits freedom. It doesn't. Discipline expands freedom. Because when your energy is organized, you can accomplish more, create more, and live more intentionally. Without discipline, energy is scattered and life feels out of control. Discipline is not a restriction, it's leverage. It multiplies your capacity to achieve, to influence, to lead. It turns desire into dominance. Think of your energy like a river. Left unmanaged, it floods and erodes everything. Channeled, it powers cities, spins turbines, and grows fields. Desire is the river. Discipline is the dam, the channel, the turbine. You control what your energy serves. Now let's tie it together. Discipline organizes desire. Routine channels energy. Focus compounds effort. Repetition ingrains habit. And action converts all of it into results. This is the framework that separates thinkers from doers, dreamers from achievers. Every moment you redirect energy is a vote for the life you want. Every moment you let impulse run wild is a vote against it. You control what your energy serves. By the end of today, you can start building this framework. Identify your most valuable energy targets. Align daily routines with those targets. Redirect impulses into creation. Reflect and adjust consistently. Discipline is not about avoiding desire. It's about harnessing desire. It's about giving your energy a destination. It's about making momentum inevitable. You've learned how to organize desire into order. You've learned how to structure routines to convert energy into creation. You've learned that every choice, every action, every impulse can serve your purpose, or sabotage it. Now that desire is under your command, it's time to protect the power you've built. Because energy without boundaries is wasted energy. Next, you'll learn how to defend your mind and body from unseen drains. Chapter 8. Master Solitude. The world is loud. It's always asking for your attention. Notifications, messages, entertainment, endless noise. It's relentless. And it's designed to steal your focus, your energy, your clarity. But there is a place where power grows. A place where the world fades and the mind sharpens. A place where clarity is forged. That place is solitude. Isolation refines the man. Distraction destroys him. Say it again. Isolation refines the man. Distraction destroys him. Most people fear being alone. Because when there's silence, there's no escape from themselves. They are forced to confront their habits, their desires, their weaknesses. That fear keeps them scrolling, chatting, numbing, distracting. But here's the truth. Fear is the signal. It points exactly to where growth begins. Solitude is uncomfortable at first, because your mind has been trained to crave stimulation. The more you avoid it, the weaker you become. Isolation refines the man. Distraction destroys him. Solitude detoxes the brain. It removes the constant hits of dopamine from screens, fantasies, and escapes. It creates a vacuum where reflection and clarity can take root. Without solitude, your brain never recalibrates. It becomes dull, reactive, and enslaved to impulse. Think of it like sharpening a blade. Noise and distraction are rust. Time alone is the whetstone. If you skip the sharpening, the edge dulls and every action loses precision. Isolation refines the man. Distraction destroys him. Here's how to begin mastering solitude. Step 1. Schedule daily time alone. Start small, 15 minutes of undisturbed silence. No phone. No music. No interruptions. Sit. Breathe. Observe your thoughts without judgment. Notice impulses, cravings, urges. Acknowledge them but do not act. The discomfort is the point. Step 2. Engage in productive solitude. Use this time for deep work, journaling, planning, or reflection. Creation thrives in quiet. Your ideas, strategies, and solutions emerge when the noise stops. Step 3. Remove digital distractions. Screens fragment your attention. Every notification is a pullback to shallow pleasure. Turn off apps, mute alerts, put devices out of reach. Your brain will initially rebel, but it's relearning to value depth over distraction. Isolation refines the man. Distraction destroys him. Solitude also rebuilds self-respect. When you are alone, you are forced to face reality, the truth of your habits, your choices, your potential. No one else can lie to you here. No one else can distract you from the work that matters. This is where confidence grows, not from validation, praise, or likes, but from self-mastery. The man who can sit alone without craving stimulation is the man no one can manipulate. Isolation refines the man. Distraction destroys him. Let's be clear. Solitude does not mean isolation from life. It doesn't mean loneliness. It means intentional separation from unnecessary noise and stimulation. It means creating space for thought, reflection, and focus. It means reclaiming the attention you've been giving away for free. In that space, your mind recalibrates. Impulses lose their grip. Cravings weaken. Desires can be directed rather than indulged. Energy is no longer scattered, it's concentrated. Isolation refines the man. Distraction destroys him. Consider the world's most disciplined men and women. Monks, athletes, artists, entrepreneurs, each spends time alone. Not because they are antisocial, but because they understand that solitude is the soil of growth. They know that the world's chaos cannot give them clarity, it can only steal it. You can do the same. You can step away just a little each day. You can reclaim your mind from digital lust, from constant distraction, from superficial pleasure. Start with 15 minutes. Build to an hour. 2 hours. Half a day if you can. Notice the difference in how sharp your thinking becomes. Notice the difference in your ability to resist urges. Notice how clarity feels like a weight lifting off your mind. Isolation refines the man. Distraction destroys him. Solitude is also the training ground for independence. The man who cannot be alone is weak. He depends on validation, stimulation, and external approval to feel alive. The man who masters solitude depends only on himself. He builds resilience. He builds focus. He builds freedom. That freedom cannot exist in a noisy mind. It requires space, silence, and reflection. And that is why solitude is not optional, it is essential. Isolation refines the man. Distraction destroys him. Here's a daily practice to make solitude a habit. Morning reflection, 10 minutes. Sit quietly before your day begins. Observe thoughts, plan intentions, and breathe. Midday reset, 10 to 15 minutes. Step away from screens and noise. Recenter. Recharge. Evening review, 10 minutes. Reflect on the day without judgment. Ask, did I act from purpose or impulse? Use this time to refine tomorrow. Consistency is key. Every session compounds. Your ability to focus, resist distraction, and control impulses grows like a muscle. Isolation refines the man. Distraction destroys him. Remember, the discomfort you feel in solitude is the proof of progress. Your mind is detoxing. Your attention is reclaiming territory. Cravings will fade. Clarity will rise. And when you re-enter the world, you'll act with more precision, calm, and power. Noise may surround you, but it no longer controls you. Urges may come, but they no longer dominate you. Time alone has given you armor. Mental sharpness. Independence. Isolation refines the man. Distraction destroys him. You've learned why solitude is essential. You've learned how to structure it, protect it, and leverage it. You've reclaimed a space for clarity, focus, and growth. Now it's time to learn the final step: how to turn this mastery over mind, energy, and focus into enduring success, power, and fulfillment. You've mastered solitude. Chapter 9: Build systems, not morals. Willpower is a lie. Everyone talks about it like it's a magic force inside you that will push you through temptation. It's not. Willpower is finite. It fluctuates with fatigue, stress, and environment. Rely on it too much and you fail when it's weakest, exactly when you need it most. That's why discipline must be built on systems, not morals. Not on shame. Not on motivation. Not on promises to yourself. On architecture. On structure. On frameworks that make action automatic. Don't rely on motivation. Build architecture for mastery. Say it again. Don't rely on motivation. Build architecture for mastery. Systems remove choice from weakness. Choice is the enemy of discipline. Every time you debate whether to act, you risk giving in to impulse. Every time you negotiate with desire, you reinforce distraction. Systems automate your decisions. They create an environment where good action is default, where productive behavior is inevitable, and where temptation fails before it even starts. That is power. That is freedom. Let's break it down. Step 1. Morning structure. The first hour of your day sets the tone for everything. Wake, hydrate, move, plan. No screens, no noise, no decision-making. This builds momentum before temptation even arrives. Your mind becomes conditioned. Action precedes distraction. Step 2. Accountability rituals. Humans are social creatures. We cheat ourselves without oversight. Create visible, repeatable rituals. Journal daily. Track your habits. Report to someone you respect, or even to yourself audibly. Systems reinforce accountability. They remove reliance on fleeting motivation. Step 3. Habit stacking. Link small actions together into unbroken chains. Brush your teeth, then 50 push-ups. Make your bed, then meditate 5 minutes. Each small chain compounds into a system that guides your day automatically. Don't rely on motivation. Build architecture for mastery. Here's the secret most people never learn. Moral judgment is weak. Telling yourself, I should resist this, is temporary. It's morality without infrastructure. It works only until the first fatigue, the first stress, the first urge. Systems work because they act independently of your mood, your energy, your feelings. When temptation rises, the system does the work for you. When motivation dips, the system carries you forward. That is how consistency beats willpower every time. Think about elite performers, athletes, CEOs, creators. They don't rely on morality. They rely on routines, frameworks, and habits. They build structures that eliminate poor decisions before they happen. They know that freedom is not in choice, it's in architecture. Structure protects energy. Structure amplifies focus. Structure guarantees growth. Don't rely on motivation. Build architecture for mastery. Systems are simple, but implementation is everything. Design your environment. Remove friction for productive behavior. Increase friction for harmful behavior. Want to read more? Keep books in easy reach. Want to quit scrolling? Keep your phone in another room. Automate decisions. Routine is your best friend. Decide meals, work blocks, workouts, and rituals ahead of time. Reduce the number of choices your brain has to make. Fewer choices equals fewer opportunities for failure. Track and iterate. Systems are not static. Review daily. Adjust weekly. Failures are feedback, not shame. Success is measured by consistency, not intensity. Here's the reality. You will never feel motivated enough to overcome all temptation. Motivation is a spark, not a fire. Systems are the furnace that keeps the fire burning long after the spark dies. This is why architecture matters more than willpower. This is why discipline without a system eventually collapses. Don't rely on motivation. Build architecture for mastery. A practical example: morning structure. Wake 6 a.m. Hydrate and stretch. 20 minutes of focused work or study. 10 minutes reflection or journaling. Cold shower. Healthy breakfast. Everything is designed to automate success. You don't debate. You don't negotiate. You act. This is a system in motion. Your mind no longer asks, should I? It asks, what is next? And that shift alone is transformational. Another example: habit stacking for energy management. Make your bed, meditate, journal, exercise, shower. Each small action triggers the next. Momentum compounds. Energy flows naturally. Discipline becomes effortless. Don't rely on motivation. Build architecture for mastery. Systems also guard against failure. When life gets hard, stress rises, fatigue sets in, impulses call, your system acts automatically. You're protected from your weaker self. And over time, these automated choices accumulate into results you could never achieve with willpower alone. Let's summarize the key points. Willpower is unreliable. Systems are automatic. Structure your day, stack your habits, track your performance. Remove friction for productive actions. Increase friction for distractions. Build architecture that carries you forward when motivation fades. Systems make discipline inevitable. Willpower only works until it runs out. Don't rely on motivation. Build architecture for mastery. You've learned how to make action automatic. You've learned how to remove reliance on fleeting feelings. You've learned how to channel energy through structures, routines, and habit stacking. Now, the only step left is to protect the fortress you've built, your mind, your focus, your energy, from drains that sabotage all this work. Chapter 10. Turn abstinence into power. Sexual restraint is not emptiness. It's not denial. It's not weakness. It is stored power. Power waiting for direction. Power waiting for purpose. Too many men misunderstand this. They think abstinence makes you hollow. They think self-control is suffering. They think that pleasure defines life. They are wrong. The truth is this: when you master restraint, you reclaim energy. You reclaim focus. You reclaim authority over your own biology. And once you do, your life transforms. Restraint is power. Energy is freedom. Say it again. Restraint is power. Energy is freedom. Every urge is energy. Every craving is a spark. The question is not whether you feel it, it's what you do with it. When you give it away to fleeting pleasure, that energy is gone. When you redirect it into work, creation, or mastery, it multiplies. It compounds. It fuels your confidence, your creativity, your dominance. Abstinence is not a restriction. It is a reservoir. And reservoirs feed empires. History is full of men and women who understood this principle. Artists, scientists, leaders, monks, warriors. They didn't reject sexual energy, they redirected it. Leonardo da Vinci channeled desire into invention. Nikola Tesla turned passion into discovery. Muhammad Ali transformed intensity into physical dominance. They understood what few people do today: restraint is power. When you hold back, you don't weaken, you strengthen. When you say no to immediate gratification, you say yes to long-term mastery. Restraint is power. Energy is freedom. Here's how to convert restraint into action. Step 1. Awareness. Notice when urges rise. Observe them without judgment. Label them energy, not weakness. Every time you pause and redirect, you reinforce control. Step 2. Redirection. Channel sexual energy into creation. Work, art, training, leadership. Do not suppress it, transmute it. The same energy that drives desire can drive results. Step 3. Reflection. End each day reviewing where energy was lost and where it was invested. Every act of intentional redirection strengthens power. Every wasted act diminishes it. Self-control is cumulative. It compounds like interest in a bank account. Every disciplined choice adds to your confidence, your focus, your power. Every impulsive choice subtracts. That's why restraint is not a moral exercise. It is a strategy. It is a tool. It is a source of influence over yourself and the world. Restraint is power. Energy is freedom. Notice how power transforms life. Mental clarity skyrockets. Creativity flows without distraction. Physical energy multiplies. Confidence becomes unshakable. When the body, mind, and spirit are aligned, people notice. Your presence commands respect. Your focus demands attention. Your mastery becomes magnetic. This is the reward of restraint, not emptiness but amplified life. Here's the final truth. Abstinence alone does nothing. Self-control alone does nothing. What matters is direction. Energy must be channeled into purpose. Desire must be transmuted into action. The man who masters this becomes unstoppable. He is creative, confident, and dominant, not by chance but by choice. Restraint is power. Energy is freedom. Now let's tie the entire journey together. Admit your addiction. Awareness is power. Stop feeding the machine. Starve distraction, feed purpose. Rewire reward systems. Pleasure follows growth. Convert desire into drive. Redirect energy, don't suppress it. Detach from fantasy. Face reality and reclaim attention. Build the monk mind. Stillness is control. Discipline is desire and order. Channel impulses toward creation. Master solitude. Isolation refines focus and resilience. Build systems, not morals. Architecture automates discipline. Turn abstinence into power. Restraint becomes strength, creativity, and confidence. Every step compounds. Every principle reinforces the next. By the end, you are no longer reactive. You are deliberate. You are in control. You are potent. Restraint is power. Energy is freedom. Remember it. Live it. Own it. Your challenge is simple. Take the energy you've been giving away. Redirect it into creation. Protect it with systems, solitude, and discipline. Master your impulses. Build a life that reflects your purpose, not your distractions. Power is waiting. Clarity is waiting. Mastery is waiting. All you have to do is choose. Restraint is power. Energy is freedom. If you found value in this audiobook and want more strategies to master your mind, control your energy, and build unstoppable discipline, hit that subscribe button now. Join the community of high performers transforming their lives, because growth waits for no one. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and take the next step toward mastery today.